Hello, everyone. I'm going to begin with organization culture. I usually like to use analogy that it is like invisible hand in the market system. In the market system, a market it is operating based on supply and demand. The price will be set uh, based on the amount of demand and supply. Now, which is very efficient. There's no need to invite anything to have a smooth operation. Now, organization culture is like that. If it is good, the organization culture is good enough, then it is playing a very critical role in generating high quality performance in the end. Because, like in the market system, organization culture tells people, especially to newcomer, that which one they are supposed to do, what they are not supposed to do, in addition to training them. So it is going very efficiently. Now, organization culture, however, is very much elusive. It's not easy to catch what the organization culture is in an organization. Now, there are several definitions of organization culture. Let me just go to the summary of that definition. Let me see. As you see over here, some define organization culture as the way we do things around here, simple enough, but give us a good shot on organization culture. Other says like Shane, let me just go back to the slide. Actually, I just copied the definition of Shane. He said organization culture is the pattern of basic assumptions that a given group has invented, discovered, or developed in learning to cope with these problems of external adaptation and internal integration. So, depending on the sector, depending on organizations, they're supposed to develop their own organizational culture. And the big question is which organization culture, what kind of organization culture is good enough, is what you are supposed to have. Now, that is a tough question. However, the I'm going to introduce two major approaches to organization culture, which help us to analyze organization culture, although not perfect, but much better than scratching the surface when it comes to organization culture, which is, let me just go back to, yeah, which is the OCHIS framework. I'm going to explain this a little bit more after this. And the other one is Peterson Waterman approach. And Peterson Waterman look at the best practices among best organizations. So by observing best organizations, they suggest a summary of their culture, and whereas OCH compare organization culture from two countries' perspective, especially American culture and Japanese culture. Let me just begin with the OCH framework. As you see over here, you know, traditionally Japanese companies had lifetime employment, and they provide the their employees slow but very qualitative evaluation, and they care about their employees holistically, whereas we don't have that culture. In most cases, as you see over here, American culture, organization culture is pretty opposite to Japanese culture. Type Z is in between these two opposite organization culture, and you may want to analyze your organizations wearing these lenses, OH lenses, and check one by one in terms of different aspects of organizational culture. Okay, that is one way of looking at what analyzing organization culture. Now, Peterson Waterman again observed and analyzed the excellent companies' organization culture, and this is what they suggest. Excellent firms or organizations, they tend to have emphasis on autonomy and entrepreneurship. They tend to be simple enough and streamlined. They tend to focus on people when they are moving toward high quality productivity. They tend to have action oriented. All sorts of good things are suggested here. So you may want to analyze your organizational culture by using these best practices in organizational culture suggested by Peters and Waterman. Now, there was something more. Let me just move down. These are, let me just hold on. As I said over here in the slide, we pay new attention to the new aspect of organization culture, such as innovation. How much are we innovative? That will be the part of organizational culture, and how much power we are willing to give to our employees, especially at the bottom layer of the hierarchy. When it comes to analyze organization culture, you may want to think about what approach you want to choose. Ultra approach or Peterson Waterman, and plus you may want to add the empowerment and innovation. That sort of approach will help you having a good understanding of organizational culture of a given organizations. Let me move to organization change and development. Simply, I call it OC and D, OC and OD. Now, they are basically the same thing, but I would say organization change has a broader scope compared to organizational development. So I'm going to begin with organization change first. Now, it is compulsory for organizations to change themselves as surrounding factors and environments are changing. Okay, let me just show you the part of the science article, which is very interesting and giving us a lot of insight. Now, this is part of Grainer's organization, Evolution and Revolution. Now, as you see over here, as time goes by, the organization is growing and growing. Now, as they are approaching to mature stage, the size of organization is growing. Now, at the beginning of the organizational life, many organizations tend to emphasize creativity among employees. So try your creative ideas and I will cover your back. That sort of thing. Now, however, as time goes by, they tend to encounter so-called leadership issue. You know, while we are emphasizing individual creativity, they may miss leadership role. So to overcome that kind of trouble or dilemma, they tended to emphasize leadership. Okay, so they were able to overcome that issues and problems by introducing or emphasizing leadership. Now, after that, they enjoy new leadership and things like that because the clear direction is given by the leadership. Now, as time goes by again, they tend to encounter the new issues or problems called autonomy. Employees, they need more autonomy instead of being supervised, being given direction all the time. So, to overcome the new kind of dilemma, organizations better introduce more autonomy, things like that. Okay, so this is kind of general idea, not universal at all, but give us an idea why we are supposed to change ourselves, why we are supposed to adapt to new demand and new environment. What if we don't change ourselves? As you see over here, if they don't introduce a stronger leadership while they're suffering from the first stage, they may not move forward. And maybe they're going to be stuck over here. Same thing. While they are enjoying leadership, and if more demand is about more autonomy, and if they ignore that driving forces for change, they may be stuck. They may stop growing. Maybe they are going to disappear in some cases. So changing themselves is compulsory as we understand structural imperatives dictate us to change, right? If size is growing, new technology is introduced, new environment factors are playing outside, then we needed to adapt ourselves in terms of organization structure. The same thing. Now let me go back to this. Let's see. So these are major driving forces for organizational change. As competition is growing tough, they may need to streamline more. As people demand more or people have different demands, they needed to make an effort to accommodate their demand. As technology and IT is moving ahead, organization needed to follow the trend, things like that. So this is a nice summary of different categories of driving forces. And I assume you guys are going to read it or you guys already read it. Now, let me briefly explain the process of changing organization. Okay, so the organization change includes anything structure, their process of doing their job, and their way of treating people, all sorts of things. And obviously, organizational culture can be a target for organization change. Now, when it comes to organization change, we know that it is not easy to change. It cannot be done in a day. Rather, Lewin's model briefly explained how it goes. Roughly speaking, there are three stages. Unfreezing stage should be the first part, which means we needed to understand the reason for organization change, regardless of our preference. Like, online class. You don't like it and I don't like it, but I know I need to adapt myself to this new setting, okay? New type of classroom setting. And if we understand, fully buying the idea of changing, we can move on to the main stage, which is change. Okay. Now, introducing more ideas and different approaches, things like that. Now, when change is done, Lewin emphasized that that shouldn't be the end of the process. Rather, we need to pay special attention to refreezing. Refreezing simply is about uh, wait until the new changes take root on the ground. Okay, so if we forget refreezing the stage, we tend to go back to the original stage, which means organization change will be simply forgotten, and there will be no change in the end. Okay. Um, One of the signed article written by Carter summarized common 8 errors in the middle of organization change. These are common errors. Maybe we are satisfied, too much satisfied with the current status, so we don't feel that we need to change. Or maybe we focus on long-term wins, long-term change, and not paying attention to short-term wins. If in this situation, people can be easily tired and we may give up in the middle of a change. So all sorts of common errors are nicely summarized. Now, let me just move on to organizational development. Again, organization development is not really different from organization change. However, it is more narrowly focused and focusing on the role of behavioral science, such as organizational behavior, psychology, or whatever helping social science tool. And all the techniques include the three major categories. First one is about changing organization, developing organization in a system-wide manner. Maybe a structure change is like that. Organizational culture change is like that. And another category is about technology and task change. Maybe if we are experiencing conflict among different departments, and maybe their task, the process of doing their job needed to be reconsidered, and we may want to combine them or doing something different. And the last one is about changing people individually or in a group. So, so the bottom line is we needed to change when it comes to the need for change, right? Now, however, we needed to expect that there are resistance out there. People don't like to change while they're doing their job, and they're okay. They are used to doing their job this way. Why? Why? They don't understand why they needed to change. Okay. But again, we need to let them buy in the idea of a change, okay, at the stage of unfreezing. Now, there are other organizational sources for resistance. So, simply many are comfortable with the current way of doing their job. So why do you need to change? Like online class. Why do you need to change to online class? We understand we needed to introduce online class, but there's no one who is comfortable with this new setting. There's no students who are comfortable with this online teaching, but we understand this is the only option we have to have education going on. So, but still, we needed to make an effort to take care of this resistance in the process of changing. This is a kind of guiding tips for successful organization change and develop. Okay. Again, while we expect that a lot of resistance is waiting for us when it comes to change, then we can prepare ourselves to deal with those. And we need obviously commitment from top management because it's going to be a long process until we are able to enjoy the result of organization change. But still, top management support is a necessary component. So these, successful OCND require these kind of key factors. We should communicate in an open manner so that instead of simply forcing them to change, we let them buy in the idea of change so that they are motivated to change, things like that. So overall, OC&D is necessary for organizations, regardless of sectors. Instead of enjoying the current status, when it comes to change, we better change ourselves to make our organizations better ones, to make our people more motivated to achieve our goals more efficiently and effectively. I think that's it for today's lecture. Thank you, guys.